We always had a forum. We started on Yahoo, Yahoo groups. That was our first online Sangha about 5 or 6 years ago. And of course now we have our own site and like that, and we're about to add a sophisticated social networking capability to our site. And this is going to improve what? The Sangha, the communication, the dialogue between the people who are preaching and the people who are learning. So this is what we have to do, that to deliver devotional service to someone. It's a complicated thing. It's not just a one-time deal. It has many stages. Just giving a book, well, that's only the beginning. So you see, if we really want to please Lord Chaitanya, if we really want to please Srila Prabhupada, if we really want to engage people in devotional service to Krishna, that means we have to establish a relationship with them. We have to give them the tools, the conceptual tools and the devotional tools, the process, the means, to actually advance in devotional service. And it's not that simple. There's a lot to it. It's appropriately complex, given that it's about the relationship between a human being. A human being is already a complex creature, and God, who is the most complex creature. Nityo nityanam chaitanash chaitananam. There are many eternal beings, but there is one chief eternal being. And there are many conscious living entities, but there is one chief conscious living entity. And who is he? Eko bahunam yo vididhati kaaman. He's the one who is creating and maintaining all the others. He is giving their desires, their needs, their necessities. That's his role. And then our role is to serve. We have to serve him. Because without him, we don't even exist. It's not even possible for us to be without God. So what is the question of serving God? Of course we have to serve God. There's just no question about it. Anyone with any intelligence is going to come to the same conclusion. So then the question becomes, how do we serve God? That all is given in Nectar of Devotion and so many other scriptures. We're not making this up. We're not speculating. It's not our own creation. It's not our own idea. We're, like I say, I just work here. You know, I don't make the rules. I follow them. And because we follow those rules made up by God, see, that means we're engaged in dharma. We're engaged in the process of real spiritual life. Sakshadhi dharmad bhagavat pranita. The actual path of religion is given by God himself. It can only be given by God. Well, who else is going to give it? If our aim is to approach God and satisfy him, well then he has to tell us how to do it. Who else is going to tell us? Who else can tell it? So there has to be a means of communication with God so that we can receive these truths from him. And in the beginning, that's the scriptures. That's then the spiritual master and the other devotees, the association of devotees. And finally, by spiritual advancement, we cultivate a direct contact, direct relationship with Krishna. And we have our own personal relationship with him. Well, that's the meaning of Krishna consciousness. See, it's not Krishna religion. It's not Krishna work. It's not Krishna knowledge. It's not Krishna belief. It's Krishna consciousness. See, it's self-explanatory. The problem is we don't have any knowledge of consciousness in our Western civilization. Because consciousness has been made a taboo subject. You know? It's not like you see somebody and you say, "Hi, how you doing? How's your consciousness?" What? How's my consciousness? What's he talking about? Consciousness is not something that we talk about in the ordinary course of dealings during the day. You know? It's like, there's a few other subjects like that, like death. We don't discuss death. Like, "Hey Charlie, how's your mom? Is she dead yet?" This is not considered a polite subject for discussion. You know? It's freak-out material. But the subject of consciousness and death is very intimately related. Because at the time of death, everybody kind of instinctively knows that your destination in the next life depends on your consciousness. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad-gītā. Yam yam bhapi smaran bhavam tyajatante kalevaram tang tang me vaiti kamteya sada tad bhava bhavita. That the destination in the next life depends on the consciousness that you develop in this life. And at the time of death, whatever consciousness you're in at that time determines where you go in the next life. Literally determines the state of being, the type of body, the type of mind, the situation that you're born into in the next life. So we should be very, very careful to cultivate as high a consciousness as possible in this life. But instead, what are people doing? They're cultivating animal consciousness. Material desires, material sense gratification. Wealth, power, fame, beauty. They're not cultivating knowledge. Or if they do cultivate knowledge, it's mundane knowledge, material knowledge. They're not cultivating renunciation. Or if they do, it's just show bottle renunciation for the sake of name and fame. And then behind the scenes, they're engaged in material sense gratification. All these things are going on. Just like the politicians. The politicians, they get elected somehow or other, any way they can, with cheating and this and that. And then when they're in office, after a little while, some scandal comes out. Oh, he was with some prostitute, or oh, he had an affair with some other woman besides his wife. Or, oh, actually, he has a boyfriend. And this comes out. And then that's the end. They get kicked out of office and they fall dead. Well, wait a minute. They were doing that, if they were doing that while they were in office, it means they were also doing it before they were elected into office. Because a person's character doesn't change just because they're elected. So why is it that, you know, we thought enough of them to elect them to office, but then when it comes out that actually they're a rascal, then we kicked them out? They were already a rascal before they got elected. But because they were able to deceive us, you see, because they were able to hide this fact about their consciousness, that actually they're a lusty rascal. But if somebody wants to get elected to public office and get all the power and privileges that come along with that, aren't they already a lusty rascal? Seems like that's part of the qualifications. You know? They have material consciousness, they have material sense gratification, they want more material sense gratification, so they run for office. The person's already demonstrated all the qualities of a lusty rascal. We don't need to guess about their consciousness. It's already a fact. And the only thing is there's some power play going on behind the scenes, and somebody wants to get rid of them, so they dig up the real facts about them and publicize it. That's all. Everybody kind of knows this already. But when the leaders themselves engage in lying and stealing and cheating and rascaldom and affairs and sense gratification and stuff, then what's the rest of the public going to do? They're going to follow the leaders. They're going to follow the rascals and become rascals themselves. So what is really needed in human society is a way to train people who have really good character. You see? A way to train people who can show a good example. A way to bring them to the point where they are actually pure, where they actually follow the principles of religion. You see? And in our school, in our levels of devotional service, this is called Anartha Nivritti. Anartha means unwanted activities, bad activities. And Nivritti means it goes away. So this is the stage that one gets to after bhajana kriya,